Do you ever get sick of rewriting validation messages and display logic in your Angular forms? If so, I'm going to show you how you can slim down that markup and create consistent validation messages. If you want to follow along in this tutorial, you may find the repository in the description and go to the branch example/bloated-markup. First, if we open the user login component TypeScript file, there's a form group with validations on 3 form controls. They're basic validators that come out of the box, but what you can see is that all of them are required. So if you start to think about how this is going to display in the markup, it has 3 different fields specific to just displaying whether those are required or not. Flipping over to the user login component markup file, we'll notice some patterns. We have common display logic, and the messages repeat themselves. But if we look at the minimum validation errors, those messages aren't consistent. Let's make this more dry and have consistent messaging for each one of the validations. So we're going to open a terminal and we're going to install the NgServe-io validation messages package. Once the package has been installed, let's hop over to our app module and we're going to import the NgServe validation display module. This will provide us the directive that we're looking for in order to support validation messages in our markup. If we head over to the user login component markup, we can start eliminating a number of the validation messages for each control. We'll keep one span element for each of these controls, adding the NgServe validation display directive. Now the directive takes in a couple of inputs, the default being the form control and the second being a field name. The field name is interpolated in the validation message, allowing reuse of the messages on common validations. Serving up our application, the form shows our 3 inputs. To show each of the validations in action, let's see the validations display by typing invalid values into each one of the text boxes. Now that our validation messages are displaying, what if there's custom validations and certain messaging we wanted to display to the user? We'll create a new form control with a numeric value. The validation will check if the form control value is between a min and max value or is equal to that min and max value. We'll name the custom validation as between, defining a min and max parameter to compare the form control's value. Be sure to take note of the validation errors returned in the isInBetween method. The key isBetween with the min and max values is used by the message service in the NgServe validation display directive. This helps string interpolation for displaying custom values returned by the validation. The isInBetween validation message doesn't ship default with the package. We need to define this using the validation display message service. We'll inject the service into the component's constructor and define the message key isBetween and the message template for display. The field name will always be injected into the messages, but it can be skipped in your message template. If you notice in the message template, I added the min and max into the message. This will allow us to use custom values provided by our validation errors, and in this case, let the user know if the value is between 1 and 10. If we hop back over to the browser and type the value 11 into the field, we'll notice the error message reads, numeric field must be between 1 and 10. Now the default validation messages can be overwritten by overwriting the validation errors key in the message template. For instance, we'll change the required message template to read, please enter field name. Now if we open up the browser and change the field's values, we'll notice the new message for display. So in this video, you learned how to utilize the NgServe-io validation messages package to slim down your markup, reuse validation messages, create custom validation with their own message templates, and override default messaging. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe and check out NgServe-io, where we serve the Angular and web development community.